Okay, guys, let's learn about mental models. Mental models is basically, it's a lot of a lot of people they make it very complex. It can help you do this and that. It's so important and stuff. It is very complex, and it's an umbrella term that is segmental and can be applied to psychology, can be applied to biology, physics, economics, business, real life, everything. It's applied to everything, and basically it gives you a lot of benefits, lah, right? So let's get right into the first thing. What is mental models? So mental models is very simple. It's basically like imagine you have apps, right? Well, you have a phone, you have apps. Each app is meant to do something. It's supposed to serve a purpose, right? And it's the same thing, with mental models. So one model, like imagine the app, right? This app, it does this one thing, right? It's the same. Mental models is basically it can be put into like an app where you learn something, right? You learn this model, you learn this idea, right? And because you learn the idea, right, you can use that idea to better analyze situations, make better decisions, and help you predict outcomes and maybe even accelerate your learning. So that's what's mental models. So let's go right into examples. So the first one we have is a general thinking model. So general thinking models is basically there's like first principles thinking, which is basically to reduce the problem to its basics, like the bare basics, right? And then just reason from there. Okay, and then the second one is basically the second order thinking is consider the ripple effects of like what you do, right, and the unintended consequence of the act of your actions. I think this could be put into like chess. Imagine like before you make a move, right, you want to think about okay, what's gonna happen next and what might happen if I move this here. Okay, and then also in general thinking models, there's also Okram's razor, which is basically says that the simplest explanation is oftentimes the best, which it's true for me. I don't know about you guys. Okay, next let's go right into psychological models. I won't really go too deep onto the other stuff. So next one is there's inversion, which is to basically think backward from your desired results. So what should I avoid, right, to ensure success, rather than what should I do to ensure success? What should I avoid? Do you understand what I mean? If you do, I'm gonna give you 1 minute to really think about it. And while you're doing that, I'm gonna go eat medicine. Okay, have you thought about your inversion, which is to think backward from your desired result? Okay, tell me about it. Very good. Okay, so if you don't know, I'm gonna give a example. Okay, so my example would be business plannings, right? So instead of your business, right, instead of always thinking about like how can we grow sales, you might ask yourself instead what would destroy our sales. So for example, bad customer service, poor product quality, and all that stuff, right? So because you avoid these pitfalls, right, you build a stronger business plan. So next one is cognitive load. So humans can really only process a limited amounts of information at once. So you want to be aware of that, and once you're aware, right, you learn to segment things a lot easier lah, and you learn to like not just absorb everything all at once. Next one is habit and feedback loops. So you have to understand also how actions are reinforced positively or negatively lah. Okay, so the next one is a biological model. So there's also evolutionary fitness. So basically, it's to adapt in the changing environments. Always keep on adapting, and also the Red Queen effect lah, which is basically for you to just keep on improving, so just so that you can maintain your position in like a competitive landscape lah. You want to keep on how's it improving just so that you can maintain your position lah, because the landscape might be competitive or something like that. Okay, how to use mental models. Okay, so first thing you can do, I think this is the one that really applied to me first, which is to ask better questions. So you can use mental models to like interrogate situations. So maybe one example could be, what are the first principles, what are unintended consequences, and what is the opportunity cost, So you can ask better questions. Next one is analyze past decisions. So, you can review past success and failures to identify which meta models were applied or should have been applied. So, you can look behind and then see and work from there. Get I mean? It's just like another mental model. That's also another mental model. Just thinking about, okay, I should, instead of like, just starting from square one, right? Maybe I can just straight away look where I failed from and then just work from there, right? So yeah, next one is practice consistently. So incorporate mental models into your daily decision making, and then because you gradually like always use it every day, right? You're gonna gradually like refine your ability to apply them, and then it's just gonna be a second hand thing. Okay, so another thing I want to talk about is Pareto principle, which is basically a 80 to 20 rule. And I actually really like, I really analyzed on this 80-20 rule, and basically, right, Pareto principle, right, basically says this book, right, you might read 100% of it, right, but 20% of this book, right, will give you 80% of like the knowledge, the meaningful stuff, let's say this book, right, takes me 10 hours to read from 10 hours to read from the first page to the last page, right? Okay, but really, right, because of the 20-80 rule, right, 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle, right, maybe only it will only take you probably 2 hours, right, of the book's content, right, to really absorb 80% of the thing that is meaningful to you. And this can be applied to everything, really. Like, think about it. Okay, our country, if you really look at it, right, in hindsight, right, we only let's say we only occupy 20% of like the land that we have, right? That might not apply to Singapore, but it might apply to something in Singapore. But what I'm trying to say is, let's say, okay, Malaysia, right? We occupy maybe 20% of it, right? But at 20%, right, we already achieving 80% of like what we want to do with the land, rather than like if we achieve like if we just occupy 100% of the land, right, we might just only like not really have that much of an impact. I don't know what I'm trying to say really, but that's what I'm trying to say. So with that, right, you can use the Pareto principle to identify 20%, like in business, right? Can I don't use that, right, to identify 20% of your customers, right, that is really driving 80% of your profits, or do second order thinking to assess the long term impact of a new product. And next is inversion. So like I said about inversion, right, you want to like think backward from your desired result, and like you want to think about what should you avoid to ensure success, right, that type of stuff, right? So you can use that, right, in your daily life, and you can use that to avoid bad habits, so let's develop routines that might align with your goals. And yeah, and you can also use the approach challenges to the first principles thinking, which is basically first principles thinking. Let's go see that. Yeah, to reduce a problem to its basics and reason up from there. So if you reduce a problem, right, to its very core basics, right, and then you move up from there, right, you can basically like say you can approach challenges with that, and then you might you can ignore like conventional wisdom and just start fresh, and then, like, it might really just like solve your issue way faster than you could normally do, you know. And yeah, so that's me, that's my video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.